Good evening, Belize, and welcome to XTV's news broadcast for Wednesday, February 19, 2025. Making the headlines tonight, Northern sugar crop forced to a halt. Registry denies CWU request for ownership information on PBL, and two UDP factions to use traditional red with differentiating symbols. We take our first break and return with the news in detail.
February Justice Bill. Belize, we're ready.
Welcome back with your news. I am Drea Espinosa. The challenges facing the sugar industry up north have now led to a stoppage of the crop due to the lack of sugarcane supply to the mill. Belize Sugar Industries farmers are having difficulties harvesting their cane because of weather conditions that have led to muddy fields and a bad state of sugar roads that have been neglected for decades. At this time, the mill requires 14 tons of cane to produce 1 ton of sugar. Additionally, the mill does not have sufficient bagasse to continue processing cane. That's because the Belcogen plant powers the mill and also provides steam. BSI's Communications and Government Affairs Officer William Neal shared that the continuing rains since October have greatly contributed to the situation.
The roads have been in very terrible condition and the fields have been in terrible conditions. This is not a good time to be harvesting because obviously the amount of mud and the difficulty that farmers have to extract their cane makes it extremely difficult. So you spend far more energy in terms of physical energy and also gas, etc., to actually bring cane to the factory. Once they're at the factory, we have to really deal with more than double the amount of mud that the factory can afford to process at this juncture. So it's really not a good time to actually continue with the cane season, simply because the challenges at the farm level and at the factory level are just extraordinary. The cost in terms of what we're spending to try and extract sugar from cane that has very poor quality at this juncture, simply because the rains have been so consistent, makes it, just not viable for us to continue with the cane crop at this juncture. And I think we just have to understand that there's a new normal given the challenges of climate change. We cannot continue to proceed with business as normal, where, come December, we start the crop and we try and go through regardless of what this situation is. I think the new normal might also include taking pauses when there's excessive rains. The impact on cane quality alone is something that is worrisome. And then the impact on the factory is also, costly because you're grinding mud more than you're grinding sugar. And the dirt, when it gets into the cogs of the factory itself, create breakdown and wear and tear that is unusual.
The hope is that during the stoppage that begins this evening, the fields can dry out and allow the government to do some road repairs. At the same time, the factory itself will conduct some maintenance. Along with the effects of futurism and the impacts of climate change on cane quality, Neil says at this time it is difficult to tell what the yield and earnings will be this season. What the factory currently knows is that the sugarcane delivery quotas are not being met. Therefore, tremendous losses are expected. Neil spoke about the concern about meeting external contracts.
The domestic market is small. What we have concerns about is obviously how we make the sugars necessary for our contracts that we have. It's still early in the crop, but what we have to do is make an assessment. We've talked about the cane price estimates and we've looked at production shortfalls. But what we're trying to do at this point is just decide what will be the best thing at this juncture to make sure that we're not grinding just for grinding's sake and that farmers are not trying to just pull out the cane to just say they delivered their cane. If there's no sugar in the cane, we're costing time, resources, money, and so are the farmers. So this is the best solution at this point. We can't project in the next 6 months how much sugar we'll have. What we're hoping for is some improvement in the weather, and we'll continue to work on the mill side to try and extract as much sugar as we possibly can. Because this is a sugar factory, we have to do the best. When Steve was talking about grinding rates, we have to try as much as possible when we have a lot of mud. It slows down our grinding rate completely, but it doesn't mean that we're not expending more energy and more effort to remove the sugar. So it's more costly. So it's all around. It's just a very convoluted system, and all we can say at this point is that we have to do the best that we can. And right now, we think the best decision as an industry is to take that pause.
BSI is currently starting to use cane cleaning equipment, and they are considering a mud belt. The industry stakeholders will monitor the situation and decide when to resume the crop. The hope is that an approaching cold front will speed up the drying process. Since the start of the crop in December last year, 243,000 tons of cane have been ground. With that, 16,000 tons of sugar have been produced. The factory says it is about 90,000 tons of cane behind what is expected for this time of year. On a side note, Belcogen will not be supplying energy to the national electric grid during the pause. The Belize Corporate Companies Affairs Registry has rejected an application from the Christian Workers Union, CWU, to learn the company ownership of Port of Belize Limited. The reason provided by the registry was, quote, as per client's call, end quote. This means that the registered agent for PBL denied the disclosure of information as to who is the beneficial owner and shareholders of the company. This is a notable development given that in December 2023, the government of Belize announced that it had purchased the port from an Ashcroft company. The CWU sought to get the information from the registry after they were told by the leadership at PBL that they cannot get access to the company's financials because no audited financials are available. CWU is seeking this information as they negotiate a new collective bargaining agreement for their stevedore members. The 5 members of the Elections and Boundaries Commission, EBC, on Tuesday voted for the 2 factions of the United Democratic Party to use the traditional UDP red but with differentiating symbols for the upcoming general election set for March 12. The factions are to submit their choice of symbol by nomination day, which is Monday, February 24. Both factions claim the color red as they contend they are the rightful UDP amid their raging internal dispute. The commission had met on February 5th and 12th to discuss the matter, but no vote had been taken as they awaited to get the preference of the 2 factions in writing. Voting finally occurred on Tuesday, and out of 6 options, 4 of the 5 commissioners chose that both factions will get the red, but with differing symbols. Sheena Pitts, the chairperson for the Tracy Panton-led faction of the UDP, clarified that the usage of symbols has not yet been finalized. On the decision for all UDP candidates to use red, she said it was the rightful thing.
It is my understanding that a vote was taken 4-2 that the color red would be able to be used by all UDPs, and thereafter an invitation was made to consider a symbol to distinguish the UDP standard bearers going up for elections. So that's my understanding of what occurred and the decision and where we're now at. And as I understand it, what remains outstanding is an indication from the UDP persons to inform the Elections and Boundaries Commission whether or not they would use a symbol in addition to the color red.
Does Ms. Pandons see this as a win, that you guys can use the color red?
Well, we are UDPs, and the color for UDP is red. And it's just that, in my view, that is not a win. That is the rightful thing.
For his part, chairman of the Moses Shine Barrow-led UDP, Michael Parafit, told the media that such discussions are too premature. He explained why.
On nomination day, people who want to contest the election will go there and put the colors that they want to be associated with, whether pink, yellow, whatever. If there is any issue with colors or symbols on that day, then the Elections and Boundaries Commission will have to make a decision as to how they will differentiate between the different people wanting to be associated with similar or the same symbols, for example. So it's very premature to say who will get which color or who will get what symbol, because there is no conflict. Nothing has ripened for them to make a decision. It could very well be that different people agree to use a different color, and for example, so you could say red, maybe only one group of people decide to use red, maybe the other side decides not to use red. So it's premature to determine that at this point until nomination day, when the different candidates go up and say, listen, I am running in this division with this color. Sir, we're not there yet, so we have to wait.
Sir, but the commission did make a determination yesterday saying that both factions will be allowed to use red, but with symbols to differentiate.
I think it would be more fair to say that the commission has indicated what they have in mind that they may do in the event that there's a conflict.
But you may agree that it's highly unlikely that either one of these factions decide to use another color.
Well, I don't know. We have to wait until nomination day.
What can you speak on your side?
I have seen two political parties come together and beat the PUP in 1993. So you don't know.
You're saying that there's maybe space for mediation still?
What I'm saying is that we won't know anything until 24th of February on what nomination day. We won't know anything about colors or symbols or anything like that until then.
Parafit said he believes that Belizeans would not be so easily confused as to not know who they rather vote for. But he added that should they need to use symbols to differentiate, there would be ample time to educate the constituents.
That's why you have, I believe, sample ballots. So if Paul Lopez is running and he run a sandfly or a mosquito, you have the sample ballot with his name with the X next to him. So I imagine that if he goes to campaign, he will distribute his sample ballot and say, hey, I got the Makala. Say, just look for the Makala and vote for me. I really don't see the difficulty. Now, of course, options are open for judicial review of the commission. The UDP would have to discuss any decision made by the Elections and Boundaries Commission and where are our options. However, some may believe, and they have a point, that at this point there are some things far more important than that. Far more important than which shade of gray you want to use. There are crime issues, there are cost of living issues, $3 billion in debt, and you the worry about whether or not you don't want pot liquor or you don't want German Shepherd. I mean, it really doesn't, I think it's much ado about nothing, in my view.
Following the removal of Gladys Paredes as the colored candidate for the Moses Shine Barrow UDP because she was found supporting the PUP at their recent convention in Belize City, Michael Parafit told the media today that the party is choosing to move on. He added that people change their minds all the time and such situations cannot be predicted. He also said that the party will reveal their candidate soon.
We move forward. We are moving forward. That is behind us. We're moving forward. Very soon, you will get clearly who our candidates will be for the next general election. We move forward.
What's your take moving forward? How can you guys ensure that you don't make that mistake again?
How can you make sure that you don't make any mistake? You make mistakes in life. I mean, you know, you never know what you will do. So you never know what you will encounter. You never know what you will face. A day in politics is a lifetime, and many things can happen with many people. So I mean, hey, who would have known that people would have sat on a stage and say, this is our party leader going into next general elections, and then turn around and say, we don't care what that you say as a body. So anything can happen. Anybody can turn on you. This is the business of politics.
Parafit said he does not believe the party to be divided. He said that the party is bigger than any one person or set of persons.
Well, there's no divide, you know. As far as I'm concerned, there's just one UDP. That's how I see it. And I don't know if splinter organizations from the UDP can be formed. This is a free country. This is not a dictatorship. You are free to associate or disassociate with anything or anybody that you want. So it's not a matter of coming to terms with it. It's a matter of real life. If a person doesn't want to be a part of your organization and they demonstrate that they don't want to be a part of that organization, what can you do? You can't do anything. You have to move on, because the organization will always be much more important than any one person or sets of persons.
After the break, Jeremy Enriquez to pursue appeal of denied injunction. Stay with us. Redistricting claimant Jeremy Enriquez today informed via press release that he has instructed his attorney senior counsel Anand Ramlogan to file an appeal of the decision of the Honorable Tawanda Hundara to deny an injunction to stop the March 12 general elections on the basis that a redistricting must happen first. Enriquez maintains that the election would be unconstitutional and unlawful due to the extreme malapportionment and disparities in the boundaries of electoral divisions. Enriquez says that having grown up in the southern Belize, he has personally experienced the, quote, discrimination, socioeconomic injustices, and systematic inequities that have long plagued many areas of the country. The struggle against injustice is not new to me. It is part of my lived experience. Far too often, a small elite class seeks to maintain dynastic control over our nation, disenfranchising thousands of Belizeans in the process. This is a fight for equality, fairness, and the very soul of our democracy, end quote. He points out that despite an increase of more than 50% in our population, there has been no redistricting for over 20 years. Enriquez says he is prepared to take the case all the way to the Caribbean Court of Justice. In more general elections news, today in Belmopan, Parafit was asked for his thoughts on the attempted delay of the general elections until a redistricting exercise is completed. Parafit said that he agrees that the elections should be held on March 12, as the people should be given a chance to grade the PUP administration. He also said he believes the UDP will win all 31 seats.
I haven't looked into that. But I think I like the fact that the election is March 12th. I think the people need to be given an opportunity to decide how they rate this current government from 2020 to now. Are you satisfied with the level of governance that's taken place since 2020 until now? Are you satisfied that their so-called plan beliefs has been fulfilled? What is their report card? I think they need a report card, because I think in the pipeline is another $3 billion that they want to borrow. And the Belizean people need to decide whether or not they want these same people in charge of their finances.
Prediction, sir. How much seats do you think the UDP will win?
All 31.
What makes you so confident?
I'm a lifelong UDP, and I believe in myself and my party and my people.
Where does this belief come from at this point, given everything?
Listen, he asked me a question.
Yeah.
I think we will win all 31 seats.
Present at the meeting that was held between personnel of the Elections and Boundaries Department and representatives of the political parties this morning was Rudy Wade, a standard bearer for the Belize Justice Movement. Wade was frustrated by what transpired, saying that they are told the laws that govern Election Day, yet neither mass political parties abides by them, and the department does nothing about it.
My discontent is that, there are laws already, right, in black and white. And these people keep derogating these same laws for 25, 30 years. And I personally have been candidates, I've been a candidate on several occasions, right? And I know the ills, and I see it, and I keep speaking about it, right? I produce evidence, all the illegal things that happen, contrary to what he had just displayed. That's what I'm saying, it's a lie, it's there. Why don't it's been fixed? So all my thing is that here I go into an election with a clean heart. Try to do the right thing. Then when I go, I see all this, corruption, right, in terms of buying votes, right, in terms of, like I mentioned about the 100 yards. It's plain to be seen. You go to any one of these polling stations on that day of election, you see they're right up at the gate. So who is there to police the you know? I mean, say, you know, hey man, don't do that. But, you know, it's so sad. And it upsets me, right? So that's why I'm so passionate about it, right? And these are things that I see. I don't know, nobody come and tell me, I witnessed these things.
How much of a challenge is it to get evidence and to put the evidence?
I produce evidence because there's a way you go about doing that. You get your evidence and you write in and you produce it to the election and boundaries, right? Nothing comes out of it.
In other news, despite the new Cybercrime Act, which was introduced to allow for the prosecution of offenses of online acts such as cyberbullying, there are still many examples of cyberbullying occurring on social media, including now as general elections draw near. Renee Wentz, a marriage and family therapist, spoke of how vicious the online attacks have been since the election date was announced.
We have public figures, which of course are always going to draw, they're always going to draw some kind of attention. And in some realms, you know, public figures are open to that and they're going to have expectations. With the election coming up, we're seeing more and more of that, and there's expectations that they're going to have that, and they're open to that. You know, the libel, laws about libel for public figures are different than they are about for individual people. They have less protection than individual people do. But when it comes to individual people who are maybe just thinking about running for politics or who are just starting to run for politics, the attacks on those people are very vicious. And I think we saw it recently with one person in particular that was starting to run, and the floodgates kind of opened on that person, and it was a woman candidate. And pages themselves were bullying her, as well as individual people. And in fact, other women who have purported themselves to be the champion of women have come out, and I've been surprised by some of these women who have gone ahead and bullied this individual in public as well.
Wentz explained that there are also passive ways that people may be engaging in cyberbullying without realizing it.
It can even go so much as, like you said, sometimes it's just sharing, or sometimes it's just writing, just putting a laugh emojis on the comments, or laughing after what somebody else has said, and participating in that kind of thing, or sharing the memes that other people are putting up.
The identities of the victims of certain crimes, such as sexual abuse, are withheld by the Belize Police Department, and the media usually upholds anonymity. However, there are times when the identity of the victim becomes public, and this usually does not end well. Therapist Renee Wentz shared a recent case where the identity of a domestic violence victim became public and she was harassed online.
I did have contact one time with a person, and this was pretty recent. It was probably about 5 months ago or 6 months ago. She was a person who was a victim of a domestic violence situation, and she reported it, and usually the media and the police will protect the name of a victim, but her partner was somebody who was pretty, he was a name that was kind of famous. And so somebody outed her in the comment section. And she came and she responded to it in the comment section. And then lots of people attacked her in the comment section. And I went ahead and sent her a private message. Or I asked somebody that I saw that was a friend of hers to let her know that she could contact me. And I had some private conversation with her, and I offered to give her some private counseling for free. And she ended up shutting down her page, and she was very, very intimidated by that. And I kind of had to take some time to encourage her to follow through with with her case against this person because there were so many people on Facebook in particular that were going and personally sending her. It's not just in what we see on the public comments, but people will go and they will harass people in their messenger.
Wentz said that the victim's right to privacy protects them from unsolicited advice as well as shame. She explained that the quick judgment from the public via online comments can be hurtful to both the victim and their family, especially since the public is not privy to the details of the case. Wentz reminded it could also prevent other victims from coming due to fear of judgment.
Every victim has a different response. Just because you are a victim does not mean you speak for every victim. And as a counselor, I've spoke to many different victims. Every person responds differently. Not every person wants to report, and it is their choice. Whether they report, when they report, how they report, and who they tell. They don't have to tell the world. And when they want to tell the world, it's their choice. It's not your choice because you were a victim and it worked for you.
After the break, authorities to meet to decide a way forward on Hopkins wetland development. Stay tuned.
and the Labor Department. Social Security Board, safeguarding you, your family, your future.
Just before news time, we received reports that a high-speed police chase on Niels Penn Road in Belize City ended in the vehicle being chased, crashing into another vehicle moments ago. We don't have any details on possible injuries at this time. Last week, residents of Hopkins took to the street to bring to light a development they reject. Works to fill a land right off the Hopkins Road, smack in the middle of a wetland, had just started when the residents' objection was swiftly made known on Facebook. As soon as government officials got wind of the controversial development, the Forestry Department issued a stop order because the developer did not have a mangrove permit. Today, we asked Area Representative Rodwell Ferguson for an update.
Have you already been able to find out when that land was issued out?
I have no clue, Marisol. When they called me about the protest, I told them first of all, ask Environment and Forestry to put it on hold until the Ministry of Lands can do the investigations. So far, I don't know what is the result. Hopefully we head maybe by early next week to see exactly what transpires there. So I don't even know if it was a private land or private development. I have no idea.
But the area itself is properly the wetlands.
It is the wetland, and as a matter of fact, I think that the area water will put the water course cross from one side to the next. So they are very concerned that, you know what, if this block up, then the village will flood.
So you're not in support of any development there?
Well, I say I will always abide with the people, and they came out and protest without even my knowledge, and so I support them.
We have been told there will be a meeting between the Department of the Environment and the Forestry Department to discuss the issue. Earlier this week, members of the Association of Beneficiaries and Retired Public Officers, ABRPO, who are trying to get the government to dissolve a trust fund established in 2014 for public officers who were subjected to an increment freeze between 1995 and 1997, ramped up their activism to finally get the matter resolved. They protested in front of the Prime Minister's office in the Capitol on Tuesday, and today, members in the Old Capitol went to protest in front of the Eleanor Hall Finance Building off Chetamall Street. We spoke with the Vice President of the association, Elizabeth Castillo, who had worked almost 4 decades in the public service.
About 2+ years ago, the Prime Minister made a promise to us that he would dissolve the trust that is there currently to try and help us get what is justly ours, monies that have been owing to us. This year will make 30 years, Marisol. 30 years. We were not given our increments from 1995 to 1997, and so all these years it's been a long struggle for us. But we have faith, we have hope in that we can depend on his word being good, that he will do it. And I think, to be honest, I think truthfully, at least that's my personal belief, I'm not speaking on behalf of the other members, I think he wants to help us. Whether I'm correct or not, time will tell. But I truly think he wants to help us, but they're just dragging their feet on this matter, and that is the problem that we have.
How often will you be coming out here?
We will keep up this pressure, and we're hoping we can do this on a weekly basis. We have a group of people, even if it's a small group, who are prepared to come and to just bring awareness to the public, bring awareness to the Prime Minister and the representatives that we meet with, how unreasonable they are being. We are not people that will go and start wrecking anywhere. You know, I come behind this building to do business a lot. I've never seen any policeman, and if you go behind there, you'll find about a dozen.
Right.
I don't know why they think folks our age are going to do things that are not correct. We are citizens that were brought up properly, and we know to respect authority. But if that is a scare tactic, it's not working on us.
Last week, we told you about the photos that the acting CEO in the Ministry of Transport, Valentino Schall, posted on social media about a major order of license plates and stickers to alleviate the months-long problem of a shortage. Schall told us the order had not yet arrived but was almost ready. Today, Minister of Transport Rodwell Ferguson clarified that the items were obtained from a company in Belize.
We order from a company in Belize, so I have assumption that everything is being done in Belize. And we order a huge amount, so the license plate and sticker will be an issue of the past. And I want to give my team kudos, because when they put on the pressure and say, man, we need to solve this problem, ever since I became the minister, I am behind them every day to make sure we have license plates and stickers. So I believe in 2025, 26, 26, there will be no more license plate issue, there will be no more stickers issue. Because we even increased the budget so we don't have any shortfall.
In police news, a retired Belizean's 59-year-old Felice Godoy was left with his hands tied with an extension cord after two men broke into his home on the Philip Golson Highway in the Belize district on Monday morning after 2. The burglars also stole $3,000 and 470 Belize dollars. Godoy told police he was awakened to a gun being pressed against his face. One of the men then demanded money. They escaped after collecting the money and tying Godoy's hands. Police are investigating. In the early hours of Monday, just after midnight, a 21-year-old woman escaped an arson attempt when someone set fire to the front door of her apartment on Kelly Street in Belize City. The victim stated that she was inside her apartment when she heard her screen door open and then heard a liquid spraying on her front door. A few seconds later, fire broke out outside her door. Then she quickly collected a bucket of water and put out the fire before it could spread. After visiting and assessing the scene, police were able to certify that no significant damage had happened. Police have since reviewed surveillance footage from surrounded cameras, but no culprit could be identified. Investigations are ongoing and no arrests have been made. And the 2025 National Agriculture and Trade Show will be held on Saturday, May 31 and Sunday, June 1. Announced this week was the return of the two-day dog show, which was highly successful last year. On the first day, Saturday, dogs of all breeds will compete in a category that has been dubbed All Breed Best of Breed and Fun Show. Different breeds will be showcased and their unique features will be judged for the Best of Breed award. The dogs will also participate in playful activities. The second day will see the competition for the bully breeds dubbed the Bully Showdown. Dogs in this category will see similar competition and activities as the first day's events, with a focus on spreading awareness on the charm of a breed of dogs that have been negatively stereotyped. Ahead of the competition, the organizers have launched an online survey to gather feedback from potential participants to gauge interest and to see the potential breeds that could compete. The link to the survey has been shared on the Ministry of Agriculture, Food Security and Enterprise Facebook page. And with that, we have come to the end of our newscast. A repeat can be viewed on this station later tonight at 9 and again tomorrow at midday. Join us again tomorrow for another news broadcast. I am Drea Espinosa. Have a safe and enjoyable evening.